Okay, welcome back to part 2. Unfortunately, part 1 was cut short because I ran out of time on the free software that I'm using. But anyway, we were looking at inserting tables and looking at cell spacing and cell padding. So if I go back to my table, just again to show you cell spacing, if I change 5 to 20, it will change the spacing between the cells. Let's put that back to 5. And cell padding, I've put in some text just to demonstrate how cell padding works. So if I change the table properties cell padding to, let's say, 30, you can see it actually changes the space between the edge of the text and the edge of the cell. So between here and here is 30 pixels, between top and text is 30 pixels, bottom and text 30 pixels, and right and text 30 pixels. You can change that, let's make it 50 pixels, and you can see now this space here is 50 pixels. So that is cell padding, so let's put it back to 0. Okay, next of all, we need to set a table in terms of pixels and width values. Well, we showed you that at the beginning, but let's show you again. You highlight the table, and here you can set the width of the tables. It's now 200 pixels. Let's change it to 400 pixels, and it's twice as big. I can also change that to a percentage, so let's change it to 50 and put in percent. And now if I hit F12, save the page, you can see that this is the full width of the page, and I set the table to 50, so it's half the width of the screen. Let's go back and change that width to, let's say, 25% and hit F12 again, and now you will see it's a quarter of the width of the screen. And if you want full screen, obviously you put it to 100%. Okay, and it will stretch to the size of the screen depending on the computer that is being used. Okay, next on the syllabus then, use tables with visible and invisible borders and set the border thickness. Okay, so if I go back to my table, at the moment this has got a border of 1, which means we can see it. I can set the thickness larger if I want. You can see it makes the border thicker. Okay, and you can also make that 0 if you want the border to be invisible. So the border is now invisible because I set it to a value of 0. Okay, next of all is using merged cells and rows within the table. So in my table you can see I can merge cells, which means join them together. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cells. If I highlight them all, right click, go to table and click merge cells, it has now joined all of those 4 cells up into one large cell. Okay, so that's merging. I can also split them. So for example, if I want to put it back the way it was, I can right click on this cell, go to table and split cells, and then I can say, well, do I want to split it into rows or columns? I actually want to put it into columns in this instance, and I want to put it into 4 columns. Click OK, and you can see it now has got 1, 2, 3, 4 cells again. Right, so that is all of 15.2, which is creating web pages. Now I'm going to take a look at 15.1, which is using style sheets. Okay, so let's go back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to use the same index page again to demonstrate some things. So first of all, I need to create and attach an external style sheet. So the first step is to go to File and New, choose CSS. So this is my new CSS file, and the first thing I always do is save it. Save as, make sure it's in the same folder, and I'm going to call it style, S-T-Y-L-E. So now if I look in my folder, I can see I've got my about page, my index page, and now I've got my CSS file called style. Now the next thing I need to do is actually attach the style sheet to the index page. So to do that, I open my index page and I go to my CSS style panel and I click on the link icon to attach the style sheet, and then I just browse for the style sheet, click OK, and now it has attached my style sheet. You can tell if it's attached because now you've got source code here, and beside that you've got your style. So that's how you can tell that they're actually attached. Another way to tell they're attached is if you go to the HTML code, you've got this HTML here, which tells you that the style sheet is attached. Okay, so now that I've attached it, I need to use some common tags like H1, H2, H3, P for paragraph, and LI for list. So I'm going to do that very, very quickly. So on my HTML document, I'm going to put in some text. I'm going to call it heading 1. Put in some more text, call it heading 2, heading 3, paragraph, and list. In fact, I'm going to do two types of lists. I'm going to do an ordered list, and I'm going to do an unordered list. Okay, so what I need to do now, I need to actually go and put in some tags inside my HTML document. So at the moment this says heading 1, but we can see clearly it doesn't have a heading 1 tag around it. So if I go to my HTML, and heading 1 is here, it's inside a P tag. So I want to put in I want this heading 1 text to have a H1 or a heading 1 style. So I simply need to just put in a H1 tag at the beginning and closing tag at the end, H1. Now if I refresh it, you'll see that this heading 1 becomes a heading 1 tag. Okay, I'm going to do the same with heading 2. That's a heading 2 tag now. You'll see it becomes a heading 2 tag. Heading 3, I'll do the same again. And we've got heading 3. Refresh that. Now I've got P for paragraph. Well, you can see that this already is inside a P tag or a paragraph tag, which is fine. An ordered list. So let's just put some. We'll do the lists in a second. Right, so let's take a look at styling these headings first of all. So I've put in the tags in HTML, but now in my style sheet I can change how these tags look. So if I want heading 1 to have a different color or a different font, I can do that using the CSS. So remember, the tag I've used is called H1. So if I go to my style, I'm going to make a new style now, just call it H1. This name of the style must be exactly the same as the tag name, and the tag was H1, so the style is H1. Open curly braces, and I'm just going to go with C for color, and I'm going to choose a color for this. Let's go to green, and I'm going to then close my curly brace, and you can see that my heading 1 tag now has now changed color. I can add some extra style to this heading 1 if I want. Let's just put in font family, and let's go with Verdana, and let's just go back to my page, and you can see it's now got Verdana. So what I have done is I have put a H1 tag in the HTML, I have attached the style sheet, and then I have used the style sheet to edit or change the appearance of that heading 1 tag. Now I can do the very same with my heading 2 and my heading 3 tags. In fact, instead of typing it again, I'm just going to copy it and paste, change this one to heading 2, change this one to heading 3. Let's go and change the color of heading 2 just to see something happening. Let's choose a different color for heading 2, and for heading 3 let's go back and choose a different color again. Okay, so something wrong with my computer at the moment. Okay, there we go. And now if I just go back to my code, you'll see that they have now changed. So again, you just need to put your tag in the HTML document, and then you link it to your CSS, and you can change your CSS styles here, here, and here. Okay, next of all, I'm going to style my paragraph, so let's just go and put in my P, and let's just change the color of all of my paragraphs to be some other color. So let's go with a red color and close my tag. Go back, then you'll see all of my paragraphs have changed color. Last of all, I want to put in a list of items, so I'm going to put in an ordered list first. Now if I just go back to my HTML for a second, I just want to remove this paragraph. Okay, and inside my ordered list I want to put in some things. Let's just put in 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so for my list I need to use an OL tag for an ordered list. Okay, and then at the end of my ordered list I need to close my OL tag. Inside then I need for each list item to put in an LI tag and close it, and the same for my second list item, an LI tag and close it, and the same for my third list item, an LI tag, and close the tag. Okay, let's refresh that and you'll see what happens over here. So now you can see it's put in an ordered list with an order of 1, 2, and 3. Now I can do the same for an unordered list. Let's just well, I'll just copy and paste it again. So I'm going to copy the HTML for the ordered list, and then underneath it I'm just going to paste it in again. This time I'm going to change it from OL, which is ordered list, to UL, which is unordered list. And let's just refresh that, and you can see it's now put in an unordered list, which just uses bullet points. Right, last of all, I can now go back to my CSS to style how these lists will look. So if I go to my style, and first of all let's style the ordered list, so I will just use an OL CSS, and let's just go with C again for color. It's easier to, it's quicker to do that. Give it a color, close that, and then let's see if that works. Okay, it's changed the color. And next of all I'll do a UL, and let's do a color for that as well, and let's choose a different color, like a greeny color. Close that, and you can see that that has done as well. So basically you make your tags in HTML and you style your tags in CSS using the same tag names, corresponding tag names. Okay, let's take a look at the syllabus. So that is the first one. I have created the tags and I have edited the styles using the style sheet. Next of all, so a part 2 is specifying the font appearance for each style. So this is basically using CSS to change how the font looks. So I can use things like font family. Let's go back and go to my heading 3 CSS. You can see I've already used font family here, font family Verdana. If I want to edit the font family on something else, well, I just need to hit font family, there we go, and let's give this a different font family, and you can see that on my paragraph it has now changed the font family. So basically we're using CSS to change the font family. We can do the same with the size, so let's make this heading 1 even bigger. If I go to my heading 1, and if I type in font size, let's make it 56 px, should be really big. There we go. I can do the color, which I've done already. I can do the alignment, I can do bold, and I can do italic. So let's just do the same with heading 3. So I'll go to heading 3 this time,